And debt is internal. And if you're not whole and free in your mind, your body, and soul, it's going to continue to both affect and infect your finances.
So, hello, folks. We are here with Ramesha Nicole, and it's just an exciting time to just be talking to her. She's in the education field right now, and she's an entrepreneur, just, getting things done. And I'm excited to talk to her to learn more about her traveling experience, as well as how she budgeted and what she learned in order to be financially stable while still traveling or even after your experience. So, thank you so much for being here, Ramesha.
Thank you so much for having me, April. Thank you. It is a pleasure to be here.
So, you are in Texas right now. So, where have you traveled to before?
So, my very first experience outside of the country was to Lebanon. I actually turned 30. And so, as I was embarking on this new decade, right, they say that there's something about when you turn 30, like life just begins to shift. And so, what I did, I just kind of started developing this passion for the nations. And so I left to go to Lebanon on a mission trip. And so coming back to the States, like that passion, that desire to just continue to do more was still birthed inside of me. And after being scheduled in January of 2018 to go on an 11-month mission trip journey that got canceled, a few months later, I ended up going to Qatar. I lived in Doha, Qatar for 10 months. And during my time there, I traveled to Brussels, Belgium, Paris, France, London in the UK, and the Amsterdam in Netherlands. So that's just a little bit about my travel experience outside of the US.
Okay, great. So you've been around Europe as well. I'm still looking forward to going to those countries, but because of COVID right now, we can't travel freely. But why did you decide to stay in Qatar? You kind of went into it, but why did you decide to really stay there for 10 months?
So I am an educator here in the United States. I worked as an elementary school counselor. And as I mentioned, I was scheduled to go on an 11-month mission trip journey in January of 2008 through an organization. It was called the World Race. Well, I kind of had some financial debt that I was still dealing with, and I didn't really want to put that off on family and friends. And I prayed to the Lord and asked God, Lord, is this really what you're calling me to do? And he said, no, you need to stop running and you need to deal with your debt. And of course, as you can imagine, like I was devastated because I had all these friends and family that had rallied around me, right, to help me to raise the support that was needed for me to go on this mission trip journey. And it was here I was going to have to tell them that I couldn't go. So I ended up staying back home. I lived with my sister and my brother-in-law at the time, which is about 30 minutes outside of Houston East. And I began to take Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, where I really learned how to budget and live beyond my means, live within, not beyond rather, but live within my means. I learned how to live within my means. I learned how to budget, save, have an emergency, which I now call a peace of mind fund. And so during the duration of that time of me, really getting serious about my finances, I had a good girlfriend who was living in Qatar. We were school counselors here in Houston. And she reached out and was like, hey, I know that you are looking to pay off some debt. We are looking for an elementary school counselor. It would be a great opportunity for you. You're really good with elementary. I would love to, recommend you to our head of schools. And, I reached out to the head of schools, had an interview, and the rest was history. My contract was for 10 months. However, I ended up having to come back home to the States again, as someone who was really following the path that God has me on. I realized that my season was up there, even though I wanted to stay there for the duration of my entire contract. I realized that season was up and I needed to come back home to pursue where I am now, which is getting ready to pursue my full-time entrepreneurial journey. So that's just a little bit about that journey living in Qatar.
Wow. And I'm really glad that you went into talking about financial debt and, coming into financial health, because you are a financial counselor at this moment, right? Or
I'm a financial empowerment coach where I really help women to really understand that, getting out of debt just isn't about your finances. My mantra and my motto for my business that I really, really stand on is that getting out of financial debt isn't just about the finances. Real debt freedom is in your mind, in your body, and in your soul, because we think that, okay, we're living, within a budget, but there are some limiting beliefs. There are some behaviors, right? There are some experiences in our lives that have impacted the way that we spend money. And debt is internal. And if you're not whole and free in your mind, your body, and soul, it's going to continue to both affect and infect your finances. So that's really what I do within, my coaching and my consulting. I really help high achieving women, those who go and seek the, certifications, who have the master's, the doctorate degrees. We live in the nice house, we drive the nice car, but we are still finding ourselves spinning our wheels with living in debt. And so it's really about the behavior, the psychology, and really getting to the core root of who you are and how that impacts your finances.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Like, as you were speaking, I just felt the passion. It was like burning inside of me. I can tell you from my experience that I am on that journey right now of, trying to figure out and get out of debt. I'm listening to Dave Ramsey right now, and I just see that as evil. And I'm like, I want to get out of this. So speaking from where you are about it being not just external, but internal, like your feelings and stuff, I can just feel that this is so important. And if you would like to connect to Ramesha Nicole, we'll have all her links in the description box below. So please go check her out, her Instagram page, her website, so many things to learn. So another thing I wanted to go to is that you also call yourself the internal debt collector.
Yes.
So what does that mean exactly?
Well, again, as I just mentioned, debt is a stronghold. Anything that is keeping you bound from living your most authentic, free life is debt. From fear to anxiety, jealousy, envy, unforgiveness. We don't think that unforgiveness plays a role in our journey to getting out of debt. But as the internal debt freedom, I'm helping you to really understand those mental, emotional, physical, and even spiritual strongholds that are affecting your finances. It's really getting rid of the stuff that's on the inside, because you can't fly, you can't get to the next level if you're not free here. For example, let's just say that, you are up for a promotion on your job and you really want to go and apply for this position. It's more money. You're not going for it for the money, but you have all of the qualifications. But because somewhere in your life, someone told you, maybe it was a high school guidance counselor, maybe it was an academic advisor in your undergraduate years who told you that you wouldn't be successful. And so you feel you've held on to that. You haven't really healed from that. And so you don't go and pursue that opportunity. And you're well more than qualified for the position, but you don't go and pursue it because somewhere in your life, you've had a life experience that has caused the limiting belief. And so until you can get free from all of that stuff, you won't be able to go and really see the full manifestation of the light and the gifting and the calling that, you're called to experience in this life. And so that's really what the work of the internal debt collector does, is really help you get free from those limiting beliefs, that unforgiveness, that guilt that's really keeping you from being free.
Wow. So as I'm hearing here is that you're not just talking about, getting rid of debt or putting money towards getting rid of debt. You're talking about developing our character so that we can pursue the opportunities that will help us to be financially stable and healthy.
Yes. Even relationships, think about, how many women like myself who want to get married, right? You want to get married. You want to have a healthy marriage. You want to have a healthy relationship. But because you may have had poor experiences in the past, it keeps you from even putting yourself out there, putting your best foot forward. And I'm not saying that every guy that comes into your path is your husband, but even putting yourself out there to make yourself available, because we know that marriage is a blessing under God. And so when a man and a woman comes together, there is favor on their lives, and especially the life of the man. And just as a woman, knowing that you carry the favor factor, right? And so in order, again, for your life to propel, you've got to put yourself out there. And so even in relationships, getting rid of those limiting beliefs that you may not be enough, or you're not worthy of love, and you're not worthy of belonging. So it's really about getting free in every area of your life so that you can experience financial freedom.
Wow. Okay, that's really amazing. Yeah, so much fire, Ramisha. So I also wanted to know, what has traveling taught you about finances and being financially healthy?
That it's not so much about all of the stuff.
Uh-huh.
It's not about accumulating a bunch of things.
Uh-huh.
Because when we have a bunch of things, right, things in our house, there are so many people who have things in their house that they haven't used in over 2 years, clothes that we're still sitting on, right? Clothes that are in our closet, possessions that we can sell. There is freedom in traveling. And you don't have to have so much stuff, but it's more so about having experiences. That
Yes.
there is so much out there. You don't have to be confined to your street, to your block, to your neighborhood, to your city, to your state, even to your country. So it's taught me not to be so worried about consuming things, but more so about consuming experiences, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because the experiences are also valuable, you know.
Mhm.
We were talking earlier about, having an experience with new cultures, new people that you may not have had necessarily being back home. So that to you, having experiences is valuable, and it's not just the material.
Right. It's not so much about having so many material possessions.
Yes.
I have a coach, the same person of how we connected, for
Yes.
Washington.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that she says is that wealth is not so much more about money and material possessions, but wealth is all about well-being. Can you afford those experiences? Can you live within your means? Can you open your children up to new experiences versus allowing them to have the latest gadgets? Open up their minds to the possibility of what is, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah. And yeah, I'm just thinking right now, like just thinking about even in my culture in Jamaica, we are really driven people. Yet we do have some beliefs with career that I would say are limiting, where we think that the premier careers are like being a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, and anything outside of that, you can't really accomplish much. But for you, you realize that it's not just career, but with anything that there is more. You want to know what is and what can you accomplish. So
And not confining yourself so much to live in a box. And it's like that here in America. We are driven by success. How can you, how can you go? To what level can you succeed? How can you outrun the next person? It's all about getting to the next, getting to the next, getting to the next. But then what happens when you get to the end of your life? Have you really lived?
yeah.
Or were you working to live? Does that make sense? Are you living or are you working to live?
Yes, that makes so much sense. I asked that when I was in university, and I think it changed the trajectory of my life, where I'm just like, I don't just want to work to make money. You get me? I actually want to live. I want to enjoy the life I have, knowing that there will be obstacles, but still enjoying it. So, what were some of the obstacles you encountered moving abroad long term?
One of the encounters was definitely, we don't think that racism exists in other countries, but it does.
Yes.
There's classism, and it didn't really affect me per se, but just seeing how people from certain cultures and countries were treated just because they were from those different places, that was very eye-opening and challenging to me. Of course, I was so gung-ho. Also, I was so gung-ho and driven on actually paying off my debt that I really didn't pursue a lot of the opportunities and experiences like I wish I should have. So I do feel like I missed out on some of those things. But I believe that God is a redeemer of time, and I'll be able to go back and experience some of those things. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to go back to what you said about racism. It does exist. I mean, it's been a challenge for me here
Yeah.
in Spain because my race is not so common. And then people here, a lot of them admittedly will have their different perceptions of Black people. And I've experienced it as a woman just walking down the street and seeing people's reaction to me. And it has been hard. And I've had to come to a point where I'm just like praying for healing and forgiveness, but at the same time understanding that, okay, in my country, in Jamaica, I would never face this. But there are people in the world who are facing this and are affected. So I can now empathize with them because I'm like, okay, it's a real thing. And how can I speak to the friends, like my Spanish friends, about, hey guys, like, we don't usually talk about this, but what do you think, or what does your family think about Black people? That's not true.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So it's been difficult. And at the same time, not feeling as if I have to extend myself, but knowing that I am worth a lot and people's perception of me is not the truth. So I can still go forward and doing the best that I can do in my life. Because I'm still not here to in some ways I will still be there to help people be a bridge, but I don't need to do that all the time, because I'm not here to heal your perceptions that you have not tried to change because for some reason you don't want to. Anyways, that's some thoughts.
Yes, yes, definitely. Definitely. Even while I was there, I really didn't understand that, again, how so many other cultures were treated just because of where they were from, right? And so it was really eye-opening and disheartening. Not just people of the Black race, but of some of the Asian cultures as well, that they are looked at less than because of where they're from. And I truly believe that there is one race, and it's the human race.
Exactly. Yeah, we look different, but we're all human beings. I mean, come on. If you're gonna look as a human being, and I'm very passionate about this, so if you're gonna look like as a human being and think that they're less than, then what do you think about humans?
Right.
How can you, for real? How can you look as a human being and think that they're less than you? How dare you?
Right.
So, how have you budgeted while traveling to different countries?
So one of the things, of course, while my time there, I still developed and maintained what I learned over in Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. So having a $0 base budget where every dollar gets a name. So, some months it would mean no shopping, or it would mean not being able to go and get a pedicure, more so as me doing my own manicure and pedicure, things of that nature. So just making sure that I'm budgeting well, giving every space on my budget a dollar. So what I do is I do it based off of categories. And so I might have, my housing category, food. Food includes groceries and restaurants. So maybe dining out may not get as much. Maybe my pocket or fund money may not get as much this pay period, because I'm going to take that, put some of this towards debt, and then put the other in a travel savings. Another thing is that I have a multiple savings accounts, right? So there is what was called the emergency, but I call it the peace of mind in the event that something happens. So there's the peace of mind fund. There is my regular checking account. I have my regular savings. And then there is my travel savings, right? Right now, I'm not traveling for COVID. So the furthest I might travel is to the spa 30 minutes away from my house. So using that money, right? But still being able to budget for those fun moments while also still paying myself first, contributing to my retirement fund, contributing to my savings, while also paying off debt at the same time. So just literally making sure that every dollar has a location to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I am still working on budgeting, because I've listened to the $0 base, or is that what it calls, $0 base?
Yes.
So I've tried to budget, and when I do budget and do it correctly, I can see where my money is going. And when I don't do it well, it's like, where am I? What am I doing? So budgeting does help a lot.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Yeah. So what are some insights, or what insights have you gained from moving abroad long term?
One of the insights of during my time of travel and living in Qatar again is that the world is really big, but yet so small. And again, that it's not so much about working to survive. God bless our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents, right? They worked to survive, but life isn't about just surviving. Life is about thriving in every area of your life. You don't have to work for a paycheck every day. If you enjoy what you do, great. But it's not so much to just work and to retire and then you're able to live. No, you can live right now.
Yeah.
You can live right now. So that was really eye-opening. And as well as, realizing how things in my past were affecting how I was spending my money, how I was showing up in the world. And so if I didn't learn anything else, during my time there, it was if you don't heal and deal with your stuff, you're going to keep finding yourself in cycles.
Yeah. I would say that living abroad definitely teaches you more about yourself. Mostly because you're taken out of your comfort zone. So you're now in direct, like you have to look in the mirror directly to see who you are and what possibly needs to change.
Yes, and that you can't keep running from it, because if you run from it, it's only going to show up with you in the next season, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's so true. You have to deal with it. You definitely do. So good. So do you have a special morning or evening routine?
Yes. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm a Christian, so I get up in the morning. I have my time where I pray. I'll listen to like this affirmation. It's a prayer that I listen to every morning. And so I'll listen to that, and then I'll get out of the bed. I'll say my prayers. I'll have my time in the closet or on the side of my bed where it's worship. There's stretching. So that's my morning routine, praying, asking for clarity and direction for the day. And then in the evenings, I like to shut down the house. And when I say shut down the house, there's no lights, there's no phones, none of that, because all of that can be distracting. And of course, we've had all of that noise throughout the day, right? So I'll turn off all of the lights. I started using my diffuser again with my essential oil. So in my room, there's my diffuser and a candle lit in the restroom. I'll take a hot shower. There's either worship music or R&B music, because I love R&B music. So I'll listen to that, and I'll take a shower, and then sometimes I'll read before bed, sometimes I won't. Say my prayers, do my stretches, and then but to really bring it all together, there is a 10-minute total body guided meditation. It's by the Honest Guys. And it's literally taking you from breathing to release all of the stress and the tension from your body, from the top of your head all the way down to the soles of your feet. And before you know it, I'm relaxed and I'm asleep. So that is my evening routine, and that's my morning routine. You really have to ground yourself in the mornings, because some people can just get up and go and they look at their phone. I cannot. So I've recently started again implementing where I don't talk to people at least for the first hour and a half to 2 hours after getting up, because I can feel other people's energy. So I don't want to feel your energy in the morning. So I don't respond to text messages. I don't respond to emails first thing in the morning. So that way you can be centered and grounded and really go on and tackle the day.
Yeah, and that reminds me of just being careful about what you expose yourself to. I've been finding that even on social media, I have to now monitor what I see, because there are certain things that will definitely change my mood, you know?
It will trigger you.
Right.
Yes.
So
I spend a lot of time off of social media. I have those moments where I'll just unplug. Like currently, I've been unplugged all week. I did a 10-day starting from January 2nd up until January 11th. I did a 10-day live challenge where I was talking about, how to thrive, how to purge and heal intentionally by becoming the master of you in order to thrive in every area of your life this season. And I did that over on Facebook for 10 days. And I was like, okay, guys, for the rest of the week, I'm going to be off social media, because you can get so caught up in worried about what everybody else is doing. And then that's where the envy comes, that's where the jealousy comes. And then that's when we begin to pursue and do things that we weren't even called to pursue, because we're too busy looking at what everyone else is doing. And then as a result of that unresolved envy and jealousy, you now have found yourself in maybe $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 worth of credit card debt. So do you see the connection between the two?
Yeah. Yeah. So you did your live on Facebook, and do you do lives on Instagram as well?
Well, with me relaunching my brand, I will be going to start doing my lives on Instagram. But right now, I'm just solely focusing on my Facebook community, which if anyone wants to come and join the Facebook community, it is the Freedom Fighter community with Ramesha Nicole. And I'm sure that April will be able to link that information in the description box with you guys. But right now, I'm really nurturing and loving on our Facebook community.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, I will definitely link it below. And I like what you said. Even with being an entrepreneur, you're driven, you're focused. So you are loving on your community, but you also know when you need to take time to step back, and that's okay. You just need to know that there are different times to do different things. Balancing.
Yes, and that is my theme for the year is thriving through balance this year.
Wow.
Balancing
Nice.
every area of my life, right? Not being so gung-ho on stuck on just one thing. So
Very good. And what gives you your drive to continue pursuing excellence in your field?
you know, I've always been someone who's been very passionate for helping people. But now that I've really been able to identify my purpose and what my call in life, people think that what they do is their purpose. And for a long time, I did. I thought that being in institutionalized education was my calling and was my purpose. It was for that season. And so now that I've really been able to identify what the calling is on my life, like that gives me the drive. Of course, every day is not going to be easy, right? Not every day is going to be peaches and creams and flowers and roses, right? However, one thing that I am learning is, you know, people's lives are at stake. And I know how I felt when I was in those low moments. And so someone else is waiting on me to really walk in my purpose. And so that's what it is, so that people can really understand what it means to be free. Because so many people are bound and held hostage by so many things and they want to be free. They just don't have the steps to. And so that's really what keeps me going.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said about there are people that need you. Yeah. So yeah, definitely thinking about that. You may not know who they are. You may never even meet them, but, or, luckily you will as a coach because you work one-on-one with people, but, people need you and what you have to offer.
Yes. And that this life isn't about me. This isn't about me. I've really, and I used to say this, but now I really understand that this life that I live really isn't my own. Yeah.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. What book would you recommend that you think everyone should read?
Don't Settle for Safe by Sarah Jakes Roberts.
I love her. She's really good.
I love Sarah. In my head, she's my best friend, right? Everybody's big sis, best friend in their head, right? But it really teaches you, Sarah really teaches you, don't settle for the safety of comfort. Don't settle for the safety that you have when it comes to fear. Don't settle for the safety that it has in brokenness, because we can get so comfortable and think that our level of brokenness or our fears are our safe haven when there's so much freedom on the outside of it if you do the work and if you stay committed to the process. So I would just say, if I could recommend any book to anybody, it would be Don't Settle for Safe by Sarah Jakes Roberts. And then if I could recommend another book, Wholeness by her husband, Pastor Torrey Roberts. Okay. If you are not whole and free, then you're not going to get to that next level of, of your destiny. So those two books.
They're a power couple, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
And if you could describe a long-term travel in one word, what would it be?
Exposure. Because you are exposing your mind, you are exposing your body, you are exposing your soul to a new level of the possibility of what could be. So exposure.
Wow, I love that. Yeah. Well, I've felt like I've been exposed to a lot. Having traveled, and not just traveling for a vacation, short term, but living here and getting to know more each day, learning something new each day, whether it's positive or negative. So I love that word.
Yes. And you're exposing yourself to a whole new version of you as well.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes. Wow. So I just love the wisdom you have. And how can we connect with you? Because there's so much more in this powerhouse right here.
Well, thank you, community. Thank you again, April, for inviting me here to speak to your community and to just share everything here. Like, this has been a blessing. As you can see, I get really excited about sharing all of this because I'm really passionate about the work that I feel that I've been called to do. And so if you all would like to connect with me, you can find me over on both Facebook and Instagram at I am Ramesha Nicole. That is RAM as in Michael, ESHA, N for Nancy, ICOLE at I am Ramesha Nicole. And if you're looking for a community, feel free to come over and join the Freedom Fighter community with Ramesha Nicole over on Facebook.
Yeah. And you do a podcast as well, right?
Yes, on February 31st, which is on February 21st, I'm sorry, not 31st, February 21st is going to be my 35th birthday. Okay. So I will be relaunching my new podcast. I currently have a podcast called Real Talk with Ramesha Nicole, which is centered around the same topic, getting real in order to experience true debt freedom. So there's been a rebrand and a rename, and it's going to be called the Ramesha Nicole Show. So in the meantime, go ahead and purge and binge listen to Real Talk with Ramesha Nicole over on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and Spotify. And then be ready in February for the launch of the Ramesha Nicole Show.
Yeah, actually, now that you talked about your birthday and for those who will need you and stuff like that, I feel like I have so much to learn from you because I'm in my late 20s right now. Yeah. So I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely want to get to where you are right now, where you're in your 30s and, you know, thriving and understanding more about yourself. So I'll definitely listen, and I'll recommend that you listen as well, everybody.
Yeah. And you know what? It takes time. You know, there are people in their 40s. There are people in their 50s and even 60s who are just now learning this. So life is about, remember, life and getting to freedom and getting to wisdom. It is a journey. It's not a destination. And every day, like you said, you are learning something new about yourself. So stay the course, continue to do this beautiful work that you're doing of self-discovery, and you'll get there.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Ramesha. Like, it's just so awesome. I can't wait for people to see this. I genuinely can't. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got a lot of gems. And as we land the plane on this discussion, I just recommend that you go and just think about yourself, if you're going to travel or not, but how can you learn more about you? So thank you for watching. I hope to see you soon and have a great day.
Bye, guys.